People assume that because I built this big stage and this multi-million-dollar company, that I'm going to be standoffish, hard to get to know, arrogant, full of ego.
Jesus, I told myself that I guess we spilling the tea. And just being honest, I was like, I'm not finna get this. You already know what I said, right? Lady out my money. What's she gonna teach me? And from what I hear, she don't even got no center.
Tell us just a little bit. We want the real answer. On the Let's Talk Childcare, we keep it real.
Welcome to the next episode of Let's Talk Childcare. And today, this is the moment that you guys have been waiting for. Our special guest today is the one and the only Kris Murray. Okay? If you're in childcare, you know who Kris Murray is. And if you don't, I think it's time that you Google her. Kris Murray is one of the first coaches in the childcare industry to build one of the biggest childcare coaching programs that we have seen thus far in childcare.
Yes.
So we are honored, okay, and happy to have her here with us today so we can spill some childcare tea. Kris, you ready?
I am so ready, and I am so excited to be here, let me say, by the way. I am so honored to be here with both of you beautiful ladies. So thank you so much for having me to your podcast.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for coming. All right, Kris, so let's jump right into it. What is something that you think people assume about you because of your success that they have completely wrong?
Yes, and I have had people tell me this, actually, when they meet me. People assume that because I built this big stage and this multi-million-dollar company, that I'm going to be standoffish, hard to get to know, arrogant, full of ego. And may I say that I'm actually very humble and down to earth. I'm actually a Colorado mountain girl. You know, I'm ex-Grateful Dead head. So I've got a lot of granola in me and just relaxed. Yeah. Like, I'm just super chill. And I think people don't realize until they get to know me how down to earth I can be.
I think you can be intimidated.
That's probably true.
I think you can be intimidated, especially if I'm being honest, the first time I met you in person, you see all these accolades, you see all these things, you read all these things, and then there you are. It's like, ooh, is she going to speak back? Hey, I think you could be intimidating to some people, and maybe that's why. But I love that once you get to know, you're very down to earth. And then Jay would always be like, Kris is so chill. She's so down to earth.
And I don't think I've ever not spoken back. And I usually speak back with a hug. So I'm also a very huggy person.
Mm-hmm.
I just like to love people up. That's my true nature.
Okay.
Yes.
So let's spill a little tea, Kris. I think this is something people want to know. What did you think, honestly, when Jay left the Childcare Success Academy? Was it like, oh my God, or like, I knew that, or how did you feel?
Well, I had known for a period of months that Coach Jay was feeling overpulled, like pulled in too many directions with her energy. And so when she left, I was not surprised. But I will say I was sad and still miss her to death. So, and when she joined forces with you, I was, again, not surprised because Jamarion is my Scorpio sister. Mm-hmm. She and I are both November babies.
Okay.
And if you know one thing about Scorpio women, we are constantly growing, looking to become the next version of ourselves. I can get bored with the same old. I need to change it up. And so that's what you did. And you were going to your next evolution of you as a coach and to play, maybe in a bigger game. So I love your journey and where you're headed.
And I think Jay was very, she really cared about what you thought. She really cared about what you thought when she made that transition. Like, she really looks up to you and she really cares. So it was tough for her too. I see you getting emotional.
So,
a little bit, Jesus.
I told myself that, I guess we spilling the tea. I told myself that I was not going to get emotional with this interview. And when Latrice and I started to talk about this podcast, and I said, our first guest needs to be a banger. Like, it needs to say we are here,
She
right?
did.
You know, and I told her, I said, I'm going to ask Kris. You know, and we were nervous. And anytime, you know, we want to ask you to do something, you know, the Teresa's out, you text her. You know?
You think she'll do it? She said, but you know, Jay, your Scorpio, she said, I'm just gonna ask her.
You know, casual conversation. Hey, how you doing? You know, and it was when you agreed, I was like, okay, because I'm gonna be honest with you, I didn't think that you were. I think the timing. I just thought that you were gonna say, you know, not right now, maybe later, ladies, but not right now. You know, things a little too fresh, not right now. You know, and so when you agreed, I was just like, okay, all right. So what are we gonna talk about? You know, and Kris, I will say this without getting emotional. At the time when I joined the academy as a member, I was in, and we talked about this on our first episode, I was in truly a state of overwhelm where I was damn near about to lose my center, you know, and you know I'm transparent, so you know my words are going to be real. I was scrolling and I was like, okay, scrolling on, and I found you on YouTube. And just being honest, I was like, I'm not finna get this. You already know what I said, right? Lady out my money. What's she gonna teach me? And from what I hear, she don't even got no center. She don't know how to teach nobody with no centers in the hood. Like what, you know? And from the first day that I came to the summit in Orlando in 2019, and I knew right then, you know, I was like, okay, this is where I belong. I don't got it. I know my card, but you know, I get good deposits. So, you know, when you get those good deposits, you know, your card will still let you swipe. And so I said, I know my card gonna go. I said, I know my card gonna go in the negative, and oh, I'm glad I got my plane ticket back home. But you know, I'm joining.
Yeah.
And I joined, and it has been amazing since then, you know. And one thing that I really liked about you is that you have always been transparent in your good and your bad, and you tell, you know, when you really didn't have it and you was trying to make ends meet with your, you know, when your credit wasn't good. And you know, and I was like, okay, she's just like us. She go through things just like us, you know. And people could tell the difference in me when I started to, you know, and one thing that I will say, and I'm not tooting my own horn, but toot, but one thing that I will say, I was one of those members that took advantage of everything that your program had to offer. I didn't leave no stones until hey, if they would, who want to do a 10-minute talk? Me. I was like teacher's pet. I was raising my hand for everything. And, you know, when I won Rockstar and I was able to come to Aspen and spend that time with you, you know, that was life changing. You know, that was a big deal for me. I am still looking over that 10-year plan right now. Wow. You know, it was a big deal for me, and everything that I told you I was going to accomplish, I did. You know, and when we were sitting at dinner, and I remember you asked me, you said, you know, what's next? What do you want to do next? You've won Rockstar. And when I won Rockstar, I felt like I was at my height of being a member. I'm like, okay, it's really nothing else for me to do here. What else can I do? And I told you, I said, I want to be a coach, you know? And so when the offer presented itself, I got a lot of negative feedback, you know? Oh, you don't let that white lady use you. And, you know, they just want you so they can have another black coach and you can bring the black people into the academy. And that was hard for me, right?
I remember.
It was hard because I had to separate myself truthfully from people that looked like me, because it was a lot of people that didn't support my journey. And me and Latrice talked about this. And, you know, this when Clubhouse was really popping. And I called you and I said, friend, what you think I should do?
Baby, you better go.
I was like, what do you think I should do?
Great
I said,
opportunity.
I don't want nobody to feel like I'm a sellout, you know. And so I know we're here to interview you, but I just want to tell you from the bottom of my heart that you truly changed my life. You truly changed my life, and I will forever be grateful for that. You know, because of you and because of what you built, I don't think, and I'm not saying this in a cocky way, I'm just saying this being honest, I don't think it's no state that I can go to in the 50 that if somebody's in childcare, they don't know me or heard of me. And you did that. You gave me that platform. You know, even though I knew that I was exiting and I was getting ready to leave, being main stage in my hometown
Yeah. That was
was major for me.
major.
You know, it was major for me. You know, even with family, they would never say, you know, oh, you're in that coach. They'd just be like, oh, you be with that white lady, you know, and and it it just really it really changed me as a person. You know, and so I just want to tell you, thank you. You have built
Biggest.
the biggest. You know, I don't care what they say. All right. I don't care what the rumor mills are. Okay. I've been in the inside.
Yes.
You have built the biggest coaching program thus far in childcare. And how does that feel?
Well, first I want to say, and this is going to sound like I'm not really being authentic and real, but I am, that I love every single client. And it pains me when African American people go, that white lady, in a way, because it's like, shit, I just want to give this beautiful abundance to you and to you and to anybody of any color and any persuasion. And that might be Pollyanna and it might feel not real, but it is real. So it's coming from that real place. And that's what we experienced when we were in Aspen together. And you were so funny because you're like, there's no black people around here. So
I went to Aspen recently.
yes, I know.
I agree.
Aspen can be intimidating. I mean, even for me, Aspen can be intimidating. But no, it is real. And so thank you for saying yes to you and for being the one that was implementing. And you could not get enough, because I know I'm going to have the capability to help you change your life. But you did it. You did the work. So I was just the conduit. What was the question again?
I was asking you, how does it feel knowing that you have built? So it's really two parts. How does it feel knowing that you have built this amazing program? And also, how does it feel now that you have stepped away but this program is still going and it's still impacting lives, but you know, you don't have the full control that you had before. How does that feel?
So I have leaned into letting go of control, and it feels amazing. And it feels amazing to receive. To hear people say that I help them change their lives is everything to me. And it always has been everything to me. And ever since I was a little girl, I just wanted to make a difference. And that's where I started, you know. And it's just that my difference and my the impact has grown more than I ever thought it could. It's way bigger than I ever thought, but that's just a huge blessing. And that's just a result of some serious hard work too. But I just feel so grateful for it. It's just the gratitude it just gets bigger. My heart I feel like the Grinch when he talks to Mary Lou Who and he finally turns over his big heart and it grows bigger than his body. And that's how I feel. So we can dig more into that. Yeah. But exiting, I can tell you the moment that I knew that I wanted to exit, and then how that has felt over the last, it's been just over 2 years since I've stepped down from CEO. Mm-hmm. And I just continue to tap into new spaciousness and openness that's revealing a new version of me all the time. And so now I'm coaching people in all different niches, mostly pretty much 99% women, from interior design to a woman that doesn't know what her next act is, to I've got all these different clients now. It's pretty cool. And so being able to step away and then go into this next version of myself is what's launching now. And it just feels really, really beautiful.
So I have that leads to my question. What advice would you give, to someone who is ready to exit? And I've been almost 20 years, but the fear of exiting and my identity of being known as this person would be stripped away from me if I exit. What advice could you give to someone who is ready to exit whatever business and they're scared of the identity that, when I leave, I'm no longer that person, or people may not look at me as that person?
Yeah. It's very easy in today's world to get the love for yourself trapped in your identity and an ego. And the way that I shifted out of that was through coaches that I had more as spiritual or mindset transformation coaches who helped me see with that identity. But there was underneath that, there was a version of me that was crying to become the next version of Kris Murray, and to have the courage or just to sit with that. So you don't have to do anything, but just ponder on it. Like, oh, because I feel to, it's really about tapping into your intuition and your feeling. I feel to lay down this CEO identity and free up spaciousness for something new. I don't know what that is yet. Or maybe you want to lay that down so you can be the childcare chick. And free yourself up from, because it's a lot to be running all of your businesses and be doing this and coaching. Believe me, I know.
That's where I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I know what it takes. So I know it's a lot. And so I think it's a gift to give yourself, and just realize that you're going to just pour more of what your gifts into the childcare chick and into coaching when you don't have the childcare centers to run. But the identity piece is really just sitting with it and being honest with yourself, to your own truth, and say, like, what am I really afraid of? So if there's fear there and resistance, you're on an acceptance journey to get to your next version. So I'm in resistance of this. What am I afraid of? For me, it helps me to journal. It helps me to write letters to the old version of myself, to think about, as the CEO identity, what am I holding on to? And just ponder, journal, meditate on that. And it can really, really help you start to go deeper and peel back those layers and heal it.
I appreciate that, because
welcome.
it is a lot. It's a lot trying to juggle it all and still be responsible for employees, a center. So as I'm approaching 20 years, it's kind of like, but it's very scary.
Yeah.
It's very scary.
And you go through, when you play two different roles in one industry, right? You sometimes struggle with not being perfect, because it's like when I'm going through it in my life as a childcare owner, and now I got one-on-ones this week, and it's been a crappy week, right? I've made some decisions or probably said some things as an owner that I wouldn't advise my clients to say.
Right.
But now I'm going to get on this call and I'm going to tell you everything that you need to do in your business. And some of that stuff I may not even have right, or I may not even be doing,
Right.
And so you struggle with this. And that is why I know for me, transparency and I guess keeping it real is so important to me, because I want people to know that it's no perfect business owner.
Yes.
It's no perfect business
That's right.
owner. We're all going to make mistakes. We're all going to do things that maybe we could have did that better. We probably should have thought about that before we opened our mouth and said that.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we showing up and we doing the work.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because we all go through something. We're
Yes.
all going through stuff. We tell our clients that all the time.
Yeah.
Like, we're just like you. We may have the tools and a little bit more resources and a little bit more skin in the game to navigate these things. But don't think that your employees cutting up. Mine ain't cutting up either. Mine cutting up too. My parents is acting up. Like, we are, my kids, at my own house,
Yes.
So we just have a little more skin in the game to be able to handle it. But we're all going through stuff, and it's a lot to still show up.
Yes.
It's a lot to still show up.
And I think it's unrealistic to think that you should have to be perfect or have the perfect business if you're going to coach others. I actually feel that going through what you're going through in that given week and that given day actually makes you a stronger coach.
Yeah.
Because you're going to make leadership mistakes. You're going to make marketing or whatever, client mistakes. But you learn from every single mistake you make, you're growing into be a stronger business owner, which makes you a stronger coach.
Yes,
So I would say
agree.
embrace that.
Yes, because I would always say something would happen and I'll say, yep, got my next breakout session.
She sure do.
Right?
She sure
Yeah,
do.
that is going to be a breakout session, because like you said, I always say, I truly believe that I go through the things that, if I go through things in my business, it's, okay, what's the lesson behind this?
Yeah.
What's the lesson, right? I'm not going to think about the loss. Right. What is the lesson, so I can teach somebody and show somebody how not to make this same mistake so they won't have to go through it. So I think that's the beauty about what we do. Another thing I want to ask you is, how did you navigate from not making yourself so available in this industry? And when I say available, I'm just going to keep it real, available for free. How did you get to the point where you was like, okay, no, I'm not responding to every DM. I can't.
Yes.
You know, I'm not responding to every post on every comment that says, how do I open up a childcare center? Oh, let me tell you in one comment. You know, I'm not
Yeah.
responding to that. How how did you navigate that and control that to not just make yourself and not feel bad for attaching a price to your knowledge?
Right. So I hate the phrase, I just want to pick your brain, by the way.
Got a couple of those DMs. waiting.
Yes. But, you know, what I will do now, and it's been a journey for sure. Like when I first started and I was trying to build the business, get it to its first million, I was a different person. And I would probably respond to most of those, can I just pick your brains? But I would also keep it to a point where it's just respect my own value, respect your value, know your own self-worth, you know, and that's something you learn after being stepped on or taken advantage of for a period of time or X number of times. You just realize and feel into your self-worth, and you're cool with just being like, hey, I don't feel to respond to this person, or thank you so much. Hit up my assistant and she'll give you my invoice for my time.
Drop the link. Drop
it.
the link.
That's it.
Pay the invoice.
And it's just comes back to knowing your own value and then living and breathing that, like really honoring it. You know, it's not just, you know, it's talk, it's actually you're living it. But I think it came over time. And also that I saw people getting results with what I had. Like I was making a huge impact almost straight out during the recession, 2009, 2010, 2011, first enrollment boot camps. People were like, oh, I just got 20 more kids enrolled, or I just got, and we're still getting that today. And so knowing that return on investment, like, oh, I just helped that person get $200,000 in revenue.
They're gonna have to pay.
Holy shit. Like, I don't need to be doing this for free because there's a huge ROI in childcare to taking a little bit of action that we teach.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
okay, I got one.
Yeah.
I got one.
Go ahead.
I got one. Okay, Chris, when the lights go off, Chris, and all is said and done, who is Chris Murray after dark? Tell us just a little bit.
The real answer?
We want the real answer. On the Let's Talk Childcare, we keep it real.
Candles, lingerie, champagne.
All of that, Chris. All of that.
Well, I don't think it's a big surprise to people listening. If you know me, you know I like a good party.
Okay.
And whether it's a party for two or a party for many, I think I created the summit because it was probably the industry's biggest party. I swear to God. And I do love a good party. So I think, you know, I do have a wine collection at home.
Okay.
I do enjoy great food because I'm about to marry a chef.
Oh. Okay.
And he spoils me and makes me dinner every night. And it's a beautiful
Lucky.
meal. Yeah. And we like to have a great time. We go to Aspen, we go to Belly Up, see live music, we ski, we have a great time. And after dark, it's like,
Tell us.
It's after dark.
After dark is after dark.
I don't know how X-rated you want me to get, ladies.
It is after dark.
And it's really an extension of just living your best life and romantically, you know, having that passion. And I am marrying a very passionate man, and he loves it. He loves me and loves it. So that's our life. Like
I love it.
Yes.
shut down those Zoom calls and
Yes.
let's get to the fun and get to the spice.
Well, I would definitely say, you know, I've seen you in a few stages of your life, Chris. So I would definitely say this stage, you are glowing.
I was just about to say, we
Okay.
said you are glowing, you're
You-
looking good,
you
you're
are
smiling,
glowing,
you seem very happy.
I love it. I love it. So let me ask you this, and then we're going to get into this book next. But let me ask you this question. What is one opinion about childcare that you think you have kept to yourself, if any? But today, we want you to say it out loud.
I think childcare people tend to be like way too people pleasing, way too victim mindset. And that victim energy has to go. Like, and I have tried to show up as a strong entrepreneur in this space. And even thinking about yourself as an entrepreneur. Like, people in this industry, you know, reality is a reflection of what you believe about yourself on the inside. And so if everybody who's providing daycare services isn't living up to their contributions and to their own strong mindset as an education entrepreneur and really being a strong business owner, then that's how parents are going to see us.
Yes.
And we have got to show up in a way that is strong, confident, not people pleasing, and claim our own power, reclaim our power from where we are holding power in. And that's what I feel a lot of people are afraid. They're running on fear. They're a fear-based leader. And this is my call to people to be like, you got to stand up and we got to join arms and we got to go for it and say, this business is keeping America going.
Yes, we are the workforce behind the workforce.
And kept it during COVID as well.
Yes.
So hashtag we are Childcare strong. But
we are. So that jumps us right into this new book of yours.
Yes.
Because you talk about fear in this new book.
A lot.
So let's talk about the book.
Well, here it is. I don't know if you need, but thank you for letting me talk about it.
Of course.
It's called The Antidote to Fear. And in the book, I was inspired to dive into its 10 different strategies for how to overcome fear in your business, in your life, in your mindset. And it was inside of me for a long time. I sat with the idea of writing it. It's really like my business memoir since 2007. And even before that, the idea of starting this childcare coaching business, which didn't even start as really coaching. It started as helping people with their marketing and their enrollment. And that journey all the way through till exit and beyond. And so that's what it's about. And it sat with me. I started it, I stopped, I redid the outline, I redid the title, I was stuck about it, and it sat with me for a good 2 to 3 years before I got into the flow. And then once I got into the flow, it was done in with about 4 months.
Wow.
It basically wrote itself once I got into the flow.
Wow.
So,
well, congratulations on your book. Congratulations. So you talked about when you first started, this kind of leads to my question. You talked about when you first started that it started as a marketing, just helping with enrollment, right? So before I knew who you were, Jay would come on Clubhouse all the time and say, I joined this program, Childcare. And I'm like, but in that, some people may say, you never owned a center, so how could you tell me how to run a center? Now, obviously, for the record, she's done it, okay? She's done it. Millions of people have been impacted by what you've done. So you've done it. What would you say to people who are scared to do something because of fear of what other people think?
So what I did was find an affinity with a group of people that were not being served, that were hungry for what I had to teach. And my affinity was a mom of a 2-year-old that were both in childcare, and having had my first child in all different kinds of care, from Montessori to family childcare, home-based, to a large chain, to more of a mom-pop independent. And as a business person, like, I can't help but study and notice, like, I don't know if you guys do this, but when you go into different businesses and you start doing the math of the business. So my dad taught me that. He'd be like, we'd be in a theater and he'd be like counting the rows of people times the ticket price and like calculating the revenue for the show or whatever. And I'm like, are you crazy? But that's what I grew. And so I could see that all of these owners of these different settings of childcare were struggling with how to sell their program, how to market their program. Their websites all looked the same if they had a website. They didn't have any social, their signage was horrible. And I was like, from a marketing and business analyst background, I'm like, and my kids were in preschool daycare, I'm like, I think I can really help these people. And so if you have an affinity with an audience, a group, a niche, and they're not being served, and you know you can help them with your gifts, it's like, just start building it. And that's what I did.
I love that. Two things. So when Jay said that, how you put her on main stage in Chicago, that was a big deal for her. It was a big deal for me too. I never got to thank you for that. You seeing something in me, because someone said, Kris don't put nobody else on her stage like that. How you get up there? How did you get up there? But for you to see something in me to put me on main stage at the Childcare Success Summit, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for that. I want to thank you for saying yes to coming to Born to Teach. When again I said we can spill the tea, right? We're gonna tell the truth here. When I thought about asking you to come to BTT, I was like, ain't no way I'm asking her. Ain't no way she gonna come. I'm not asking her. And so finally a couple people said, do it, do it, do it. I mean, all she could say is no. Right. And I built up the courage to ask you. And when you said yes, I was like, but you came, and I really appreciate that. I really appreciate, because I know you, Kris. I know you don't do this for everybody, but you had to see something in me that you came to sit with me side by side at BTT and did that.
And I told Latrice when the opportunities presented itself for her to speak at Summit, I told her, I said, friend, you made it. Since I've been when I was in the academy, I said, we've had big speakers. I said, but a speaker with a whole coaching program,
She definitely told me that.
That's in the launching stages of your coaching program. I said, and this lady is going to allow you to be on her stage in front of her audience, and you are in the midst of building. I said, I don't think that's ever happened in Summit history. Now, we've had, it was the biggest speakers, from John Maxwell to Les Browns, everybody, I said, but, it was funny, because I remember when I told my husband, he said, Kris letting Tree speak it with a breakout session?
Well, Tree said,
I said,
Kris
no, main stage, And so I said, friend.
She did. She called me a couple times and was like,
that was my job at the time, and I was shocked. Our conversations behind the scenes were like, oh, y'all, this really happening? And so I think for me, my respect level for you even went higher, because that showed me that you don't have this fear. It's not, the scarcity is not there. Like, hey, because what's for
you is for you.
For you is for you. And what, and so that was big for me, because it showed me, hey, if she can operate at a big level like this and not be worried, why are we worried about the childcare owner down the street
all the time?
So that leads me into this with the state of childcare right now, because we in a state, Lord, are we in a state? Okay,
I haven't seen it in a long time.
Where do you think childcare is going?
Yeah. That's good.
So I think a lot of energy is being spent on the worries and the fear. And I know that it's real, and I know there's states that have lost their funding, and I'm not trying to say that the issues that are happening aren't real. But I think that when childcare owners get caught up and stuck, they get gripped by fear, and they get unable to act, to go back to the basics of what's going to work. And we need to pivot. Like, we are in a period of a market correction. And when you're in a market correction, you're going to have people who dive in and talk to families and talk to parents and talk to their community and go to Rotary and go to Chamber and do their own research in their own communities and figure out and start offering a product that parents want. And you're going to have people that sit back and just complain, and they're stuck in their fear and worry, and they never take action on trying to innovate. So what needs to happen is innovation. The leaders who rise up and pull up their big girl panties and pants and innovate and get their teams to innovate with them are going to win and survive. And the people that complain and whine and are stuck in fear are going to die, and their doors are going to close. And we're in a market correction. So my question is, are you going to be one of the people that dive in and help you figure out where the market's going. And, parents are shifting. Like, we're going into this whole Gen Z opinions about childcare and preschool, keeping kids home, leaning on grandparents more, whatever it is. But we got to figure it out. We got to figure it out.
And childcare centers, I'm in a lot of Facebook groups. They're closing
left and
and
right
every day. If somebody called, I was at my center the other day, and a random call asked for me, asked, did I want to buy their center? I'm like, no. But people are selling every single day because they just cannot navigate what we're going through. And like you said, you got to pivot. People are still trying to run their centers. You can't even run it like last year.
No.
You have to constantly be growing, pivoting, innovating. Like you said, the parents are changing, and we got to change with them. But it's
and we have to work with licensing to figure this out too, because the state is not going to be served when there's no child care centers in the state. And so we got to advocate, talk to our, legislators, our licensing people. Oh, they don't allow us to do drop-in care. Well, guess what? We're going to have to figure out how to get the state to approve that we are allowed to do drop-in care. Whatever the rules are, we got to be the ones that figure out how to bend them and get the state to support us to change the model. So step up, people. Let's go.
Yes, I agree.
okay. So as we wrap it up, I still have a couple questions. Okay, Kris, being pretty much one of the first child care coaches, because again, I tell Jay all the time, when I started, there was no such thing as a coach. Google was barely even Google. Right. I'm sure like you see them popping up every single day, because even since I started, every single day there's a new child care coach on the internet, which I love it. Come in, help the people. But what is the biggest mistake that you see these new child care owners making right now? What is the biggest mistake you see? Because again, they're coming in every day.
So I think really understanding what your brilliance is and really understanding what you're bringing that's different. I think a lot of people are just on the Me Too bandwagon. And if you're going to be successful, you have to figure out what is going to be your unique niche, your special sauce that you're going to bring that's different from the coach down the street, and it's almost like the point where it's going to be more coaches than clients.
That's what we're seeing. That's what we're seeing right now.
Yeah. So there's also going to be a market correction on that as well. Is that not all the coaches are going to be able to survive, because they're going to realize that it's saturated. And we always talk about market saturation. It's supply versus demand. And so every business it's not going to be the season for every business to take off. Because if you're in a saturated market, just like if you have a center and there's 10 bazillion centers down the street, you're not going to be able to make it unless you do something really different. And so ramp up your differences, ramp up your unique special sauce, and then market the crap out of it.
Love that.
So in your book, you shared a very scary incident that took place in your life, something that probably, I'm sure, changed your life.
Yes.
What made you feel the need to finally share that?
And by the way, that's also how I started my TED Talk, which is about to come out. So it's like dive in. Once you realize you've been resisting sharing and being real, let my business go. And I had written the book, it was done, but I knew something was missing. And I was like, let me go to one of my people that I have a very unusual person that I actually love his book and I follow him and I'm somewhat obsessed with him. His name is Arnold Schwarzenegger. And his book, Be Useful, starts with when he was flat on the mat, because as you may know, he got busted having an affair with
his housekeeper.
And in the book, he's like, I'm not going to talk about this because y'all can Google it and y'all know what happened, but I ended up getting divorced from Maria Shriver because of my actions. And so he starts his book with that, his flat on the mat moment. And when I reread that this past summer, I was like, something's missing from my book. The flat on the mat moment, which became my preface, is how I start the book, was my DUI. And I had never been in trouble before. And I was facing all of these challenges in my life. I had been sued by a former employee. And I went out for St. Patrick's Day to try to drown my sorrows. And I got pulled over and got landed in jail with handcuffs. and I was sobbing. I could not sleep. I was sobbing all night long in my jail cell. And you want to think, I mean, who is Kris Murray? Like, who am I really? You know, I had to be like, well, I'm a successful entrepreneur. I'm a mom of 2 teens. But wait a second, what am I doing in this situation in my life? And so that's how I started the book. I had to, because for me to really, truly be real and to really show everything, that's what I had to do. And it felt so good to be able to be that honest, that raw. And so many people have written me, they're like, I cannot believe how raw and honest you were throughout your book. So yeah, that's it.
Okay, I like that. So that leads me into this question.
Okay.
Because I figure out how I can ask this question. So when you're building a coaching program, you know, when you're in your building stages and, you know, of course, you bring people on to help you grow your business, right? And, you know, me and Latrice see it now. You know, you see people that join and then, you know, 3 months later, they're coaching, you know, and you're like, okay, so did you join just so you can
See what we was
see
doing,
what we're
and then go
doing,
start
or,
your
you
own
know,
thing.
and I know that you can't let things like that stop you. You can't let things worry you like that. You can't, you know, worry about everybody on the internet that's doing what you do. But how have you, because I know that it has happened to you probably several times.
Oh, wow.
How have you navigated through that by watching people leave your organization or people that you have coached and they really become a carbon copy of you? How have you managed that?
Help me, Kris.
Oof. Well, I would like to say that you could just lawyer up and slap a lawsuit on them. And in some cases, if you can prove that they actually stole your stuff and it's copyright infringement, you can. And I have done that. So I wrote a book, Red Leaf Press. They had attorneys. There was a woman in Dallas. She stole the stuff straight out of my book. And we did sue her for copyright infringement, and we did stop her. But in a lot of cases, it's going to be this gray area where they come in, they, you know, pull everything you're doing, and then they make it slightly different. And that's what happened to me. It can bother you. It will bother you. I'm not going to lie. And so it bothered me. Because I knew that our intellectual property was being basically ripped off. And then clients would leave us for an identical program. And so, yeah, it bothered me. But I got to the point, I think this is why, one of the underlying things of why I actually wanted you on my stage and felt comfortable, because I got to the point where I no longer was in fear and lack. And I really lived from a place of abundance. And it took me a long time to sit with my pissed offness, my, you know, and how it bothered me, and then really come to a place of acceptance and just sitting with it. And now I do. It doesn't bother me anymore, but it took a lot of processing of those emotions and sitting with it and journaling about it, praying about it. But then I just got to a place of acceptance and love, knowing that, yes, this is an unlimited abundance. We are limitless. I have limitless on my wrist for that reason. And every time I doubt myself, I go look down and I see limitless. And you're on my stage because it was almost like me to show the world, us to show the world at CCSC that we are an abundant mindset. And so that it is, but it's definitely a process. Like, you're not going to get there overnight, you know.
I'm still praying, Kris.
Still praying, and also get yourself some good attorneys.
Yep.
Got some. But I'm still praying for sure, because it happens all the time. I'm trying to get there. So one question that I have is, if you were a childcare owner right now and you're struggling, would you fix enrollment or staffing first?
I would fix enrollment first.
Why? Why would you fix enrollment?
So here's the thing. You have to kind of fix them in conjunction with each other, and it depends on the exact situation. Because if you've got dark classrooms because you can't hire, and so you've got opportunity in those classrooms, but you don't have teachers to run them, then yes, I would work on hiring first. But you've got to look at your marketing. You've got to look at how are you doing attracting leads and clients in the door. And just get a few. If you can figure out how to get 5, 10 children to start, take that income, that revenue. So now you're out of the red, right? You want to get from red to black in your income. Fix that. If you're just like, money's just flowing out of your fingers every month, we have to fix that first. So we got to work on enrollment and marketing. Then once you get into black, you can start working on culture, leadership, branding, hiring, retention of employees. Yes. So it is a journey where you're working on both stools at once, but definitely you got to fix if you're bleeding money every month, we got to fix that first.
Got to fix the enrollment to be able to pay for the staff.
That's right.
I love that. Yes. I love that. Now I do have another question. I know me and Jay talk about this all the time. We always want to quit, run away, hide under a rock, throw the whole, what you just say, Jay always says, throw the whole child care center away. Have you ever wanted to quit in your business? And I know we all have, but have you ever had this time where you were just like, yeah, I don't want to do this anymore? Yeah. And what changed your mind?
So that moment that I talk about in the preface in the book, when I did not want to get out of bed, that was the most severe moment. There's been other little moments throughout, but I definitely was in a F the whole thing, pull the covers up over the head. It can just go. I don't care. But something in my heart, something in y'all's hearts, something in your real truth of who you are will come out of you and show up for yourself and for the children that you serve. In that moment of just wanting to chuck the whole thing, that's just a knee-jerk reaction. That's fear talking or ego talking. And, you've got to move through that. You've got to shift your energy through that. And so remember who you serve. To me, it's about who is going to be suffering if I walk away. And if you focus on that person that you serve, then you can get back up out of bed and you will start your day and you will shine. But
okay. We've all had those moments where the payroll may not go through and the rent may not be paid. Has there ever been a time in your business that you avoided your bank account because you know that it wasn't going to look right?
I will admit, one of the secret sauces of me being the founder and CEO is that if I ever was seeing a low cash flow moment, because I was always looking at the projections and staying on the money of my business. And so it didn't happen to me, but it actually happened recently in the business where we had an issue with our payment processor. And our payment processor was holding over 6 figures of funds and not letting it go into our bank account. And so we did have a payroll almost emergency. So it can be definitely super scary, but my advice and guidance is to always be looking at your money. And that's another thing about that you were like, well, what's the real truth that you've always wanted to tell childcare people? Is like, I hear so many excuses about, I'm just not a math person. I'm just not a numbers person. You need to become a numbers person. Like I always say, well, hire somebody. But once you start to get into your money math, you can't not be a numbers person. Like I get excited by doing money math. And so look at your bank account. I used to look at it every day. When things were thin, it was like, if I need to take a line of credit, I'm going to take that line of credit and I'm going to be prepared so that if I do have that oh crap moment with my payroll, I'm just going to call up my banker and be like, I'm here, give me 50,000. And so you've got to have those things in place. Yes.
I'm going to end with one story. I have to tell you the story. I've never told anybody this story, but I think Jay. So I'm going to pull my phone out for this one because I want to look at the date on this one. It is. And I screenshot it because, so October 20th, 2022.
Yes.
20th. I received this DM that said, you are the black girl's Kris Murray. That's what that DM says. I'm going to let you read it later. Wow. It was a long message. Yeah. And, but just that part is making me just like, this is a full circle moment. And in that moment, I really sat with that, like, what does that mean? Like, I know who Kris Murray means. I started Googling net worth and all that stuff. I was like, Kris Murray, okay. But that made me feel like maybe I gotta be on the right path. If anybody on the outside, I don't even know this person. I do now, but I didn't. Look at me and think that I'm on the track to do something as amazing as you have done for people that look like me. It really did something to me. But how do you feel knowing that like you made that kind of impact? Like for me, it set with me. And I said, one of these days, I'm gonna get to share this story with Kris. And I don't think I've told any. I just kept that DM.
Wow.
And as I continue to grow on this journey and continue to do things, even when I'm scared, even when people talk about me, even when people don't believe in me, because this is hard. And if I'm being honest, it's even harder for a Black woman trying to build something this big. And so I look back at that DM sometime, and this is a full circle moment for someone to think that I can do something even as near as amazing as you have. How does that make you feel to know that like that's the impact that you made?
Oh my God, it makes me feel like honored, appreciated, valued, and just grateful. Like, yeah, but also I just, like when I wake up in the morning, I'm not wearing that version of me. Like back to the mountain girl who, I just am back to just me. Yeah. I don't feel like, I think people's perception of the Kris Murray, it's probably just, it's not really me. It's their perception. And so I don't care. I don't walk in that, but I'm just beyond grateful to, and the thing too is like, I'm just grateful to be here because you're carrying on. This is part of my legacy, and so that is everything to me.
Paved the way.
Yeah, I mean,
paved the way.
And I said I didn't have a question, but I do. I was not a question, but I want to make this statement. When I made the decision to leave as a coach in the academy, I was in a, I don't know what I want to do. I don't know if I just want to leave and just be an owner. Yeah. I don't know if I want to try to just offer some small consultations on my, my own. But what I did know is that my time was up. My time was up. I started to see a shift. The room started to shift, and not in a bad way, but just I felt I didn't have anything to give to the audience that was there, if that makes sense, right? And so I know that, people say, well, I don't see color and I don't see this. And we serve everybody, especially in the business that we have. However, I always tell people that childcare and churches are the two most segregated things, whether we want to admit it or not, but it's very segregated, and I think when it comes to coaching, I think that that's another thing in another part of our industry that is segregated. Yes. And I don't think it's really by fault. I mean, by decision, like, okay, we're going to only build this for these people. And on that, I just think that when you are letting your guards down and you are being vulnerable, sometimes you feel comfortable with doing it with people that look like you,
Or you feel that's relatable.
Or you feel that's relatable, and so I remember having this conversation with my husband, and I told him, the decision when I decided to resign, in my husband's eyes, it was like, okay, you're going to be home more, and you're going to be, and then, like 30 days later, I was like, so, hey, let's talk about it. I'm getting ready to do this. And he was like, okay, but that ain't what we talked about. I thought you was just, spend more time with kids and, and I said, well, I'm going to tell you why. I feel like that I joined a organization where it wasn't a lot of people that looked like me at the time. And especially as I up-leveled and when I got in Empire, I was just like, okay, well, just 1, 2. All right, and I said, I think that the fear, but I've learned so much, and I know that it's ladies that look like me that feel like, oh, I can't join. They're not going to be, and, the first question people, oh, you in the academy? How is it? I'm like, it's fine. They don't act funny. No, they don't, And so I felt like I was in a space where I wanted to, and not from an intellectual property standpoint, but I wanted to take the knowledge that I have and what I have learned, and I wanted to go and find that childcare owner that was 90% subsidy, that had a small storefront in the Bronx, that didn't even have no systems in place and felt like that she couldn't have systems in place because, oh, I can't operate like a, like one of the big corporate centers. Yes, you can, and I I felt like I was relatable to them, but they also knew where I was coming from. So they knew I had the knowledge, and I said, okay, if I can go do this over here, I can help my friend build something amazing for these younger childcare owners, and what I would say is that I used to have a problem when I would go places and people would say, oh, you want a Kris girls? And I'd be like, I'm nobody's girl, but okay, yes, I work for the academy. But I'm going to tell you, Kris, and I'm here to say it publicly and out loud. I didn't mind being one of Kris girls, and I still don't mind being one of Kris girls, okay? Because being one of Kris girls have opened up so many doors for me from a coaching standpoint, and so I just want to tell you, I know I told you in the beginning, but I want to tell you thank you. I appreciate you from the bottom of my heart, and it's all love. No matter where you go in life, no matter where I go, it's all love.
I love you.
Love you too.
That was so good. That was so good. This has been such an amazing episode. Listen, I appreciate you again. I'm going to tell you again. I appreciate you for saying yes, not once, not twice, but 3 times yes to coming and just sharing all the knowledge. I'm sitting next to greatness right here. I'm taking it all in. I'm taking it all in. And I just want to thank you for coming here, doing this for us. And we're going to keep growing. The legacy that you have put out for, to pave the way for people like us, we're going to run with it. Just know you left it in good hands, Kris. And we're gonna run with it. So thank you for being here. Thank you for spilling the tea. It got a little juicy, it got a little hot in here for a minute, but we really appreciate you. So stay tuned for the next episode of Let's Talk Childcare.